This is a new flashlight Wuben have just released, and I was lucky enough to get my hands on this pre-production model. And of course, it's the Wuben X4. So it combines some of the best features of their previous X series flashlights, especially the X2 Pro. Really reminds me a bit of the X2 Pro, especially that head there, all in one perfect package. And this light has a ridiculous number of features. Firstly, if you look on the back here, you've got this latch which allows you to open up the battery tube, and it comes with an 18650 cell. That's something that a lot of flat style flashlights do not have the ability to do. They all have a built-in battery. There's also this 4x LED array here in the head, so it's kind of like a flood and throw system, along with the RGB lights here on the side. So you kind of just press the button there and you can rotate, cycle in between these different modes with this dial. That other little latch here just allows you to switch between the different modes. Not only that, you've got this tactical switch here on the rear as well. Okay, which is something I thought is really cool, because with the X2 Pro, you actually had to buy a separate switch to attach in the back. In terms of what you get in the box, I had this pre-production sample, so it was pretty bare bones. It just had the flashlight, USB-C charging cable, and the 18650 battery. But in the full release model, there's probably going to be some additional accessories and things included. So here is the Wuben X4 compared with my X2 Pro and Wuben G5. And I reckon what they've done is that they've used a combination of features with the G5. You know, there's got this sort of sliding switch here on the side, which they've implemented as well on the X4. And with the original Wuben X2, you can see it's got that same LED array there on the head, and some auxiliary lights, but these auxiliary lights are a lot brighter. It feels more stable as well. You can't adjust the angle of it, but you can see where Wuben have drawn a bit of inspiration, with this dial, this dimmable dial, and you can increase and decrease the brightness of the flashlight. And incredibly, this thing is pretty much the same size as the Wuben X2. The Wuben X2 takes two 14500 cells. You've got that tactile switch that you got to buy separately, but it does jut out a lot from the back. A few other flat style flashlights that I own, and you can see here with the Nitecore flashlights, they're a little bit thinner, okay? And that's the EDC29 and the EDC23, but really, if you look at it side by side, it's almost the same width as the EDC29, especially in the head. Okay, but the body is thicker. But the big advantage here is that obviously it's not as long, but you can change the battery. If it, a lot of these ones, they just have that lithium polymer cell in there. Once it goes, it goes. So, yeah. It's almost the same length actually as the Nitecore EDC23. And I've also got the Ace-Beam Terminator M2 and the Loop SK05. And you can see they're like significantly smaller in size, especially when you look sideways as well. It's got a much smaller profile. I think it represents a really good compromise between both of them, because you can replace the battery, but you get just this multiple functions with the LED strip here on the side, the auxiliary LEDs. You've got a really powerful output there on the front as well. So here's a little close-up of the Wuben X4, and straight out of the box you can see the X4 has this military / steampunk kind of design, and this thing has a unique appearance and just looks like it means business. And I'm a big fan of the designs of Wuben's X series. They just look different from your normal tube style flashlights. And the X4 follows in that same kind of styling. Lots of intricate details, angular cutouts with no imperfections or sharp spots as well. And looks like it could be a prop from a sci-fi film or something. The anodizing is fantastic as well. Matte black, pretty grippy. So although there's not much kind of knurling or no knurling really, it feels pretty grippy. I also find that the light is pretty intuitive, pretty comfortable to hold. You kind of hold it like this and you've got the switch here on the side. You can activate all the different modes pretty easily. You've got this dial there too. Makes it easy to access pretty much all the switches with just your thumb. And the tactical mode as well feels pretty comfortable. So, I mean, just really hold it like that and that's all. And I think that's due to the general shape of this flashlight. It's kind of between rectangular and cylindrical. So like I was showing you before, the X4 is operated through this sliding switch. So you've got like a moonlight mode, a main lighting mode, side light mode, and a lock mode. Underneath the switch, you can see here, there's that USB-C charging port, and you can cover it up like that. I'm pretty sure that port is waterproofed internally as well. And you've got a general on switch here, the side of the flashlight, and then this rotary switch that allows you to brighten and dim the LEDs steplessly on the front. So there's a mechanical locking latch and release for the tail cap. And I like that you have to put in a bit of pressure to move this little switch up and down. It makes it less likely for this thing to open up accidentally. Okay, and all you do is just press this button there. You can remove the battery. There's a spring on the tail of the flashlight, as well as right at the base of the flashlight. You can see a couple of gold contacts there that connects to the back of the flashlight, which then makes contact with this button when you press down. Wuben have also included this chunky clip on the back of the flashlight, so you can carry that in your pocket. It does stick out of your pocket a little bit, but it makes it easier to grab it, deploy the flashlight from your pocket. You can also use this clip to clip it onto your hat or your helmet. I find this clip a lot more sturdy than your generic sort of steel clips that you see. So here's a little peek under the head. So you can see there are 4 TIR lenses with 4 unknown LEDs. And the entire configuration appears to be the same as the one on the X2 Pro. There's no glass lens on the front, and basically you pop it into the on mode and this little dial just increases and decreases the brightness of all 4 LEDs simultaneously. Okay, so I'm going to go through the UI and show you how the light works. Now there is a battery check in here, so basically on the 2 middle modes, the 2 main lighting modes, auxiliary and the front light mode, if you press and hold the side switch, you have that blue light that comes on and it will start flashing, and it will change to red if the battery starts to run down. So it sort of flashes on for a little bit. Now on the moonlight mode here, you can see here I've just got that latch. It's a little kind of couple of these white arrows to tell you which setting you're on. And you need to do is just press that side button once, and there's a little moonlight mode. You can also press the tail switch like that to access the moonlight mode. On the front lighting modes, so you can press the back switch, which gives you access to the turbo, and then double press for a strobe mode, and you can press the side switch to access just your normal other modes in there. While the side switch is activated, the tail switch does not work. Okay, so yeah, but even if you leave it on, say like the lowest mode here, and then activate the tail switch, it always goes into the highest mode, which is fantastic. You don't have to worry about it on what you've left it on essentially before. That there is a sort of flash once you hit the top and the bottom of the ramp. In terms of the auxiliary modes, it has memory, so if you sort of leave it and say that mode turn off, turn back on, it will remember that last mode in there. But basically you press and hold to cycle between the floodlight here on the side and the colored RGB light. So you alter the brightness by playing around with this, with the floodlights. Pretty bright, it's about 3000 K. And if you press again, you can cycle now through a few different modes in here, a few different colors that are pre-programmed in. Now, if you double press the button, side switch, you get like a flashy mode. So that can be good maybe for attracting attention. So you can do that pretty much in all the different modes. So you just, yeah, you move this dial around in order to cycle to different colors. Now from off, if you double press, there are some flashy modes in here to attract attention. So that's red and green. We press again, red and yellow, I believe, and press again, you've got blue and red. This last setting here is just a lock setting. So yeah, nothing is accessible when you've got that set to lock. So I ran a test with the 4x LED array, the main lighting mode with the Wuben X4, and this was with the ramp set to the maximum points. And you can see here, this light starts out at 100%, but steps down almost immediately. Okay, and you can see it goes all the way down to about a third of its output. Ran the test for about 20 minutes before ending it. So I ran some tests with my Audible Lightmaster Pro, and you can see with the 4 head LEDs set to max, I got 195 meters of throw. Pretty impressive for, you know, a small bezel like this. CRI ranged from 67 to 68, and CCT was on the cool end between 5900 and 6500. I also tested the side lights warm LEDs, and you can see here, got a maximum range of 14 meters on the highest mode, and CRI was 69. And you can see the CCT here was pretty warm, 3,900. So I wanted to go through some considerations, and do keep in mind that this is a pre-production model of the Wuben X4. It's very likely they're going to continue to improve and change things based on user feedback. That's what they've done in the past from reviewers and viewers. And these considerations that I'm going to go through are more kind of thoughts and suggestions I have about the design. So the first consideration is that I'd like if the tactile switch would work on 100% in all modes. So it's the moonlight mode, but I don't see a point in that if you've got that side switch that also activates moonlight mode. So it would be great if that would also access the 100% mode just in an emergency, and of course in the lock mode. But it would be good, for example, if Wuben could add some type of mechanical lock. So say if I'm on this mode and I don't want to change and I don't want to risk it going into the lock mode, maybe I could just mechanically lock it in place here so that whenever I press that tail switch, I know that it's always going to go into the tactical mode, the 100% mode. So yeah, be more kind of confident to use that tactical switch on the rear. But of course, you know, this isn't a dedicated tactical flashlight. The second consideration is that there's no ability to change from flood to throw like in the X2 Pro. Maybe that will be changed in the final version, but yeah, it would be good if, say, you could turn it on, press and hold to sort of ramp between these two floody and spotlight kind of LEDs. Also notice that there is still some spare room here on the LED strip. I wonder if Wuben will be adding some additional LEDs to increase the brightness or functionality, maybe a UV LED, some extra white LEDs, who knows. Another consideration is this clip. I would prefer that it was a more deep carry clip. Maybe if it went up to here, it just makes it a little bit easier, I find, to carry it around your pocket. It doesn't stick out the front. But yeah, again, you know, when it does stick out the front, it makes it easier to deploy. So it's kind of pros and cons depending on the person. The final consideration is the fast step down to 1/3 of the light's output. Now, it would be good if Wuben were to modify the driver so that it would step down later, but I do find a lot of manufacturers kind of err on the conservative side with these smaller flashlights because there's limited heat sinking in there. Even to fit that 18650 battery in there was really impressive, considering it takes out, you know, most of the bulk of this flashlight in the first place. You don't want this thing to get too hot. Overall, the Wuben X4 is the perfect do-it-all flashlight. It's just like the X2 Pro, but on steroids, and I think it's a superior upgrade given all the additional features and improvements. I like the versatility that this light brings to the table with a bright, balanced main beam. It's both suitable for long range and also close-up use. And you've also got these functional side lights here as well, like floody side lights, 3000K. Some people don't like the RGB mode, but I think this could be great as a signal light. And even the red mode I use at night so that it doesn't mess with my night vision. And I do like this intuitive UI here with this side switch and ability to rotate this dial to change colors, change kind of like the different settings in there. And of course, I've mentioned this 100 times already, but that battery as well, being able to fully replace it, that's something most flat style flashlights lack. And that's going to ensure that you'll be able to use this light long after the 18650 cell conks out. There's some things I think Wuben could tweak around a bit, but as it stands, it's a solid EDC flashlight that's made it into my top 5. What do you guys think of the Wuben X4? Let me know down in the comments below. If you have questions, also comment below and I will get back to you. If you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, do me a big favor and click the like button and share it with a friend. Helps me to get the video out to more people. And if you want to see more flashlight reviews and keep up to date with the latest flashlight news, make sure you subscribe. Wuben X4, and I've got it on the lowest setting at the moment. You can sort of see it here in the foreground. Let's just ramp this up all the way to the top. There you have it. That's the top of the ramp, and you can see just how balanced that beam is. It's got a really nice hot spot in the center, large hot spot, but it blends well into the spill. And you wouldn't be able to tell that there are 4 LEDs in the head of this flashlight. It does step down fairly quickly though. Let's go again. Reaches all the way to the end of that golf course, and I just like how easy it is to sort of move this, rotate this little dial here. It's like seamless, stepless ramp. You can't even see the steps unless you go really, really slowly. You might be able to detect it, but yeah, look at that. There's not a way I can figure out on the prototype model to change between flood and throw, but what I can do is compare it to my X2, my Wuben X2 Pro. So that's my X2 Pro. I'm going to put this one on to both flood and spot. Okay, so that's my X2 Pro and that's my X4. So look, the beams are pretty much identical. Okay, X4, X2 Pro with all the 4 LEDs activated. Yeah, they both look pretty much identical. Right? I'm noticing like the X4 doesn't step down as much as the X2 Pro. So you can see the X2 Pro to the right and the X4 here, X4, X2 Pro. It's difficult to tell on camera, but yeah, the X2 Pro is just a bit dimmer once it steps down. Definitely tell with the naked eye, and here on the ground as well. But you know, obviously with the X2 Pro, you can switch it on and alternate between that spot mode here and the full-on flood mode, like that. Whereas with the X4, you've just got that one dial. So, you know, top of the ramp, pretty much, and then bottom of the ramp, like that. So I'll go for a little walk, show you what the beam profile looks like. What you can do as well is just activate that tactical switch on the back. You can hear it sort of clicking near the camera, and double press will give you a strobe like that. But that main mode here, just that highest mode that you can set it to, it's like a momentary mode. Double press and you've got a locked in strobe. You can also change the brightness and it will remember that as well. Do a little demo of the auxiliary light here out in the dark, and that's it pretty much. Now you can press and hold to go to these other colored modes. I'll show you those in a second, but this side light you can actually use the dial to ramp up completely, and this is decent enough for a walking light. It's pretty, to me it's pretty bright, and it's a nice warm sort of light as well. Just by rotating that dial, we'll press and hold. I'm going to go into the colored light mode. So you've got like, this one's like a yellowish mode, and then you rotate the dial and we'll go through all the different colors as you can see. Okay, pretty basic. They're sort of like preset colors. Now what I can do is triple press, or is it double press? You go double press, and then you get like the flashing sort of mode, so you can select the color like that, double press, and then you've got a kind of flashy mode. And if you double press from off, you get this like red and green flashy mode as well. Double press again, red and blue flashy mode. I don't want to leave this on for too long, like I'm impersonating a police officer or something. But yeah, pretty cool. And I'll go for a little walk with the auxiliary lights on, the 3000K light. Down this sort of dark pathway, and let's blast the X4, the Wuben X4 here. This is on the highest mode, just on the tactical setting. You can get that strobe in there as well, but it's a momentary mode like that. And of course, you know, as usual, I can just turn on the light, put in the right mode first, and then use this little scroll sort of dial here to ramp up and down. So that might be enough as a walking light, something like this. If you really want to get to the end, you've got to scroll all the way to the top. I can just about see underneath those trees there. Okay, not 100%, but you know, that's definitely some decent range. I'll go for a bit of a walk.